day and welcome to Quilting with Dawn and
Carolyn.
And Carolyn. We're going to do Scraps of Sauron. We talked about this at a previous video. We're going to take all the scrap fabric that I generated from working on the Eye of Sauron. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, check the link out at the top of the screen. I'm working on a very cool bargello style quilt. In any case, quick update on that, oddly enough, is that I haven't been able to get it onto the quilting rack. Why? Well, I was away for a little while. Carolyn had a bunch of stuff already to go on the rack, and then
it died. 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm near the end of a big quilt project, and it just stopped.
So if
and I figured, if I can work till 1 o'clock in the morning, it can work till 1 o'clock in the morning.
And it didn't work.
And it stopped.
So what you're seeing here is a very empty carriage where the quilting machine was. It's now off to the Quilt Long Arm Quilting Machine Doctor.
Yeah, the repair shop.
The repair shop in Victoria.
Yeah.
All right. So, also, while that's bad news, it's good news because at the same time that happened, we've learned that Carolyn's Quilt Guild, well, actually, I'm in the guild now too. They're putting on a big show next year, right?
Correct. In June 2023, there is our quilt show for Parksville with the Parksville Quilt House Quilters. And check out their website online and see about getting raffle tickets, getting tickets to attend the show.
Yeah.
Book your calendar.
So what they're doing with that show, oddly enough, is the members of the Quilt Guild have been challenged with a comfort quilt challenge. The rules are simple. The quilt you make has to have 50% reds, yellows, and blues. Remember that. And it has a fixed size, 40 by 48 or 48 by 60 inches. Well, reds, yellows, and blues. What does that remind you of, Carolyn?
Quilts of Sauron has all the colors that we need in there.
Yeah. So we're going to use those scraps. They just happen to match the quilt challenge guidelines, and that's what we're doing. All right.
And you know how I feel about scraps. I don't like them. I need to use them up and get them into a usable quilt.
So we're going to start off with showing you how we're going to design Scraps of Sauron. But first, you see behind Carolyn and I here all the scraps. I've laid them out, doing the math thing in physical size order. Starting with 3 inches strips on the left, working through 2 3/4, 2 1/2, yada yada yada, all the way down to 1 inch on the other side. So we know what we got. Carolyn is the design lead on this baby because, well, she's got lots of experience. You may have seen some of the Taming Mount Scrapmore videos where you've seen some of Carolyn's quilts, and she's done something along these lines before. So anyway, Carolyn.
So what we're going to start with is the actual physical scraps that are already in small pieces. We're going to assemble them in their widths to a fixed length, and then we're going to lay them out to see where the next step should be. Whether we have to add more strip sets to make a larger quilt, a wider quilt. We have some of the leftover strip sets that we're going to cut into to make some of these longer because we do have a shortage of some of the larger squares. We will be spacing them out with background, so we will also be auditioning different background colors. Right now we're slated for black background fabric, but that could change. We have a selection that we can choose from for the filler background. Yeah. What's nice about this process is we can include as much or as little of the fabric that we have. So if our background fabric is a little wider, we have a need for fewer of these strip sets. If we have a fair number of these strip sets that we use up, then we can make the background filler fabric smaller.
As long as we meet the 50% has to be red, yellow, and blue.
Yeah.
And my math says, because we're going to do 48 wide by 60 tall, each of these, once they're sewn, are 2 inch. Each of these pieces is 2 inches. Are 2 inches. Anyway, each. So that math says that's 30. We're going to be making sets, strip runs of 30 pieces each.
Yeah. We count these as individual pieces.
All right. Carolyn's trusty ironing board with iron This is where we're cutting the extra strips, and Carolyn's actually working on 3 inches right now because we need that.
And there's the cat who's supervising.
There's Whiskers, who's whiskervising. Carolyn's workstation there. She's going to start sewing soon. That's where I am, and then you can see in the back where we're pulling the fabric from. I thought we were just going to start sewing. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Carolyn is actually getting ahead of the organization curve, and she's asked me to explain it. So you see over here on the quilt wall, we've got all the lines, right? What Carolyn is saying, before we even start sewing, let's make sure we got our rows of 30 for each color ahead of time. Isn't that smart? So that's what we're working on now. We just did the 3 inches, and we had to tap into, Carolyn's off camera, you might see her hand there. She cut enough of the, from the strip sets that we have scrapped, she cut enough of the 3-inch pieces to make 30. Now we just started organizing the 2 3/4, and we noticed that we need to pad it with another 10 pieces from the strip sets. Oh, Whiskers.
Yeah, he's got a scent market.
That is a quilty cat.
Yes, we will be washing this before we use it. Or we donate it.
Whiskers cam. And he's helping
For
Carolyn.
heaven's sakes. This is not helpful.
He wants his cuddles. Look at him.
Not helpful.
It took us probably an hour, maybe a little less, just to organize the strips, the rows, as you can see here. Whiskers will point them out. So we've done it. Here's where the planning stops and the sewing starts. We're just going to start sewing these puppies into 30s, groups of 30, and see what we got. Chances are more than even. Carolyn did quick math. Hey, Carolyn?
It was just really rough math.
To say we're up to maybe 30 inches out of the 48 we wanted. You know, and that's a...
So the idea now is to sew them and then rearrange the order as needed so that we get a pleasing layout. But we needed to do the math to have even numbers of blocks.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Quilting involves math.
Lots of math, but easy math.
And we're going to start sewing. Carolyn's recommended method is we'll each do a row ourselves, and you'll just stack up the fabric in the order we want, and then sew. So it's working. Coming along, Carolyn and I have each sewed one row, almost at the exact, we finished at the exact same time, and then we had to fight for the iron. I won! Or no, let's just say Carolyn let me go first. So now we're just going to keep going, and I'll report back when all the rows are done. Alright, we've laid out all the strips. First cut, just left to right, large, fatter to skinnier. Carolyn and I just went over the math and it came up with the plan, which we're now going to execute, and then we're going to show it to you. It was difficult. Not for me. I mean, not for Carolyn. It was difficult for me. Carolyn had this figured out right away how to do it. It took me a while to figure out her math, but it works. Alright, we have laid out the pattern. So Carolyn and I will sit back. Ta-ta-ta. There you see. Now, recognizing that it's going to be, we've decided we're going to use black sashing, right?
Yes.
The width of the sashing is going to be what again?
The finished width is going to be 3/4 of an inch.
There we are. So 1 1/4 inches we're going to cut. Thing we also learned is you saw us doing dueling sewing machines, which is cool. Our 1/4 inch seam allowance wasn't exactly the same. Not the end of the world. So we have a bit of variance in the lengths of each strip. We just went and measured a bunch of them, and the variance is no more than 1/4 inch, so it's workable. One other thing is, because of the, remember we used 30 pieces to give us 60 inches, at 2 inches per piece, right? But we discovered that I sewed all these, right, initially. I used very scant 1/4 inches. And so it's too long. We have to remove one piece from every strip to get us close to 60.
Who knew?
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch the master, or rather the mistress, at work. As an aside, Carolyn already spent probably a good hour getting the fabric perfect for this cutting. It's that important, right, Carolyn?
Well, to me it is.
We're cutting 1 1/4 inch wide strips that will be 59 3/4 inches long. We're taking them from a piece of wide back fabric that I'd purchased for the Eye of Sauron quilt top for my borders. One other thing I should point out is that Carolyn and I did synchronize our 1/4 inch seams. I adjusted my needle to make it closer to Carolyn's. All right, Carolyn and I are settling into our battle rhythm, as it were. What do you think, Carolyn?
Yeah. Sounds good.
She says, yeah, I'm just sewing. So we've each sewn a couple strips.
We're about halfway done-ish.
Yep. Wobbert here decided he was going to help us. You might see him. Anyway. Yeah, so it's getting there. Halfway. Oh, how long? I think it was about 2 hours, maybe a little less.
Yeah,
of
couple
sewing
hours.
to get that.
Maybe.
Yeah. And almost done. I think we sewed for less than 2 more hours. Good tag team sewing between Carolyn and I. And it came up very close to how we designed it. We have to measure it a bit now, but we're already pretty sure that it's just a little too narrow and we have to put black borders on either side. But the height seems to be right on target.
We're there. Just put the borders on, finish it off. I'm tempted to put a little black border top and bottom myself.
Even just the black
But
binding? Or
the
border?
the binding ought to do it, so yeah. So,
We did it!
finally done.
Yes!
Or at least this stage.
Before we did the reveal,
Yeah.
we added the black borders on either side, so now it measures almost exactly 48 inches wide, but almost 60 inches tall. With the binding on, it should be perfect.
Fingers crossed.
Let's do the reveal?
Alright?
Alright.
Dun dun dun!
Isn't that gorgeous?
It's almost too good to donate.
I know! We were just saying, I think we want to keep it. Well, we'll see how that happens. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is the close, or this is the end of this episode of Quilting with Don and Carolyn. And what do we call it again? Oh yes, the Scraps.
Scraps of Sauron.
Scraps of Sauron. Or Sauron, yeah.
But, you know, we might change that.
So the next thing to do is obviously put it on the rack once it gets fixed and bind it. Yeah. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember,
Don't drink and sew.
Don't drink and sew. Oh, we don't have a drink. Oh, next time. All right. Ciao.
Ciao.